Hey friends, do not miss this next episode of Women Who Rise. I'm sitting down with Tanya Memme, former Miss Canada, award-winning TV host, and a true queen of reinvention. Tanya's story is wild. She went from a sod farm in Canada to Hollywood's red carpets to redefining success on her own terms. In this episode, we talk about mindset, media, motherhood, and making it all work, including how she's now teaching others to find their voice and even leveraging AI to do it. Tanya's the real deal. Warm, honest, and full of insight for any woman who's ever felt the call to reinvent herself. Hit subscribe now and get ready to rise with Tanya Memme. You are going to love this episode. Today, my special guest is Tanya Memme, and we will be discussing basically how she has gotten to the place she has arrived in her life. Just a few things about Tanya. She is an award-winning TV host. She has been on many programs for many decades. She has been a former Miss Canada. She has had an absolutely stunning and stellar career in all different types of media, especially with her long-standing career in television. And I am just so excited to have her today. I am actually a former student of hers as well, with a course that I took in the fall, and I cannot wait to share about how she can help you guys as well, and about just really being able to learn from this bright, shining star that is Tanya Memme. Welcome, Tanya. I'm so happy to have you today.
Thank you, Heather. What an introduction. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Nothing, you are deserving of nothing less. So first, I just wanted to talk a little bit about, I'm aware that you started out pretty big in your young life, going for these beauty pageants, and I know that you had some specific reasons, some targets, that was not your solo, or your sole target at that time, the beauty pageant industry, but it was literally a springboard to get you into a different industry. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about that and just have you kind of talk about how your early beginnings were, coming into, a non-traditional kind of job like a multimedia profession.
Well, okay, so I was born and raised on a sod farm, so not a lot of people even know what that is, right? So I was raised on 400 acres of grass, basically, and then we had a greenhouse. And so when you grow up like that, and you know deep down in your heart that you really want to be on TV, you want to be an actress, you want to be a performer. And I knew around the age of 11, but I was thinking, like, how do I do that? How do I carve that path when I'm I live in a very rural area on a sod farm. And so at the time, the only way to really get noticed on camera or on stage or whatever would be to get into beauty pageants. And I was never really a pageant type girl, but I thought, okay, it was either modeling or pageants. And so I did some commercial modeling, and then the agency I was with asked me to compete for Miss Teen Niagara. And then I went for Miss Teen Niagara, and I didn't win that. And then I went back again and competed for Miss Niagara. And then I ended up winning that, and then ended up, going on to the Miss Canada pageant and then the Miss World pageant. So that's how that sort of happened, which really sort of got me into the public eye, got me on stage speaking and all that stuff. So, but like, not expecting to ever win anything like that. It just, yeah. And that was over a period of like a good solid, like 8 years between starting in the pageant world and
culminating that. And that's interesting that you say that. I was very curious as you were saying, hey, I tried for this thing. I was told to do it. I learned, I did whatever I needed to do. And then I didn't win, right? You didn't get the goal. And then you went back, and pageants anyway, I know they have to be at least a year apart. So, but 8 years is a significant amount of time. And this is something that gets to the heart of one of the things that I find with, highly successful individuals, high performers, is that you certainly have a share of failure as you're on the road to success. And one of the things that I always want young listeners to know is that failure is a part of a wider process. What do you think allowed you? Because you could imagine some people might have quit on year one, two, three, four, or even seven. You kept going, and you were young. This is at a time you were quite young. So, what do you have to say about how, who taught you that persistence, or how did that occur in you growing up?
Well, I think my parents were always they're a very strong backbone. My father's Italian. He's from Italy. When he came here with his mom and his brothers and sisters, literally on a boat through Halifax, Canada, because I'm from Canada, and they had nothing. They had zero money, zero anything. They started off as immigrants, very poor, and so my father's always had a very, very good work ethic. So I grew up with him and watching him cultivating the sod farm and working the greenhouse. And then they ended up starting a housing company, which now my brother is one of the owners of as well, my cousins. And so I guess that I was always raised with a really good work ethic that if you want something if you want to be something in life, you have to work hard and you have to do what others are not willing to do. So that means go the extra mile, stay hours after, show up early, work harder than everybody else, and those doors will eventually open for you for sure.
Yeah.
You'll get noticed. You just have to work hard for it.
Yes, and I think it's one of those things, it isn't magic, it's not luck, it's actually a good amount of hard work, and maybe there's, a little bit of luck along the way. That's wonderful. And, what had you eventually be able to make it into television? What particular characteristics did you have at the time, or did you possess, that people said, wow, we've got to put this lady on camera? What do you think it was about you that they said, okay, you're our gal?
I was just very persistent. So I didn't ever really quit. I kept going and kept going and kept going. So after Miss Canada, I auditioned for the American Musical and Dramatic Academy. I ended up leaving the Miss Canada reign like 6 months early because I just kind of wanted to get on with my life. That was like a whole other thing that happened. And so I went and I studied in Manhattan for 3 years. And then I just started auditioning. And it took me about, oh gosh, I always tell this story, like 300 auditions before I got my first commercial. And so, yeah, talking about rejection and talking about, that things don't always work out in the timing or in the way that you want, there's a ton of rejection. There's a lot of what some might call failure.
Yeah.
But with every what you might call failure, it's you learn from it, and then you just and you're honing your craft along the way, right? So I had to learn how to audition. I had, and mind you, it's 300, auditions,
Yeah.
but they were
It's
auditions for
it's a
anything
lot.
and everything. I
I could
mean,
imagine a lot of people
yeah.
would give up at that point. They would think I'm not meant for this.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you have to be strong. You have to be tough. You have to have a life outside. I mean, this is for the entertainment business and a lot of other businesses too, right? But you have to really, really want it. And I was just very tenacious. I mean, I moved from Canada to the US, studied in Manhattan, lived there for 10 years. And also I was just a really resilient 20-something-year-old,
Yeah.
and was willing to make no money and work 5 jobs and then audition when I could. And it was tough. It was hard. I don't ever want to go back to those years, but it was, yeah. And I don't know what caused somebody to cast me over anyone else. I think some of it is talent, it's luck, it's how prepared you are. And a lot of it too, like in the entertainment business, you always have to meet those casting directors again and again and again and again. So they want to get to know you. So sometimes they might hire you right off the bat, but a lot of times they'll want you to audition 4 or 5, 10, 15 times before they give you a one-liner, or before. So every casting director is different, right? But they want to get to know you in the business. And so you have to pay your dues. I mean, that's a part of any great job, is you have to pay your dues, right?
I agree. And, it's almost like, even in the corporate world, which I've been in, you have situations where, you might be doing an incredible job and you're hoping that you're up for that next promotion, but you get passed by over and over again. And maybe we're not realizing that that same process is occurring where just because you
Yeah.
can raise the bar 1 quarter or 1 month at that job does not mean that that director or whoever is above making those staffing decisions believes that you can do that all the time. And maybe they're looking to see your work ethic, or they're looking for the right spot for you. Maybe they've already decided they want you for something. And that was something new that I just learned, that the casting director kind of wants to get to know you. And I'm sure because they're trusting you with a role that for them could be a make or break on on many different things. What had you fall in love with visual media and decide that that was a career that you wanted to go for?
You mean like the television and
Yeah.
film industry? Yeah. I wanted to, I mean, when I was a kid, there was like 5 channels, right?
Um,
And I always was somebody who wanted to experience life to the fullest. Like I wanted to travel and I wanted to go on private planes and I wanted to be on yachts. I wanted to, it's not that I had to own anything like that, but I wanted to experience it. To own something like that, okay, great, that'd be pretty cool. But I mean, I just wanted to experience life to its fullest, and I always felt that people on TV got to do that. Now, when you're younger, some of it's fake and some of it's just a TV
yeah.
show. But I was like, I want to do that. And so, yeah, and I knew at a very young age, and I think that that's really what the allure was to it. To me, getting, being on TV allowed me to have a big life, and that was something that I've always wanted.
So
So,
now that we've kind of talked about how you got there, and I love that that was your goal. It wasn't like you were out to save the world, but who's out to save the world anyway? 20, 25 years old. So I kind of love that. But it was I like how you phrased it as, experiencing life to its fullest.
yeah.
Because that just paints such a really great picture of what that must have been like. Um, yeah, and getting to at least have a small taste of that. I lived in Northern California in my 20s and in the advertising world, and yeah, we ended up on some fancy boats and stuff just because I was selling media
Yeah.
advertising. So I got to see a little bit of what also looked pretty glamorous to me.
Especially back in the day. It was very glamorous back
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
day,
because it's true now. Media is so
Yeah.
diverse. You have so many more stars, maybe, and many more platforms. But back then, man, if you could make it onto one of those,
One.
3 or 4 broadcasting stations, that was quite a feather in your cap. So one
Yep.
of my thoughts about that is, what is your takeaway from, you had a long career, and you're able to kind of look back at it now with
Yeah.
some hindsight, and what is your takeaway from that? What are you glad that you gained from that career, and then what caused you to want to change and go to what's next?
Yeah, I mean, I ended up, there was about 15 to 20 years where, yeah, I was living that Hollywood life. I hosted over 10 TV series and infomercials. I mean, 40 or 50 infomercials, commercials, and, I dated celebrities. And, I came so close to the lead roles on soap operas. I was always kind of like, at least 4 or 5 times I was number two
Oh yeah.
choice. So, but I know what it's like to screen test and go to network, and the whole, it was a very, and it was, I hit all my goals, all my dreams. I definitely hit all of those in my 15 to 20 years of being on camera. But it's exhausting. Like, for some reason, all the shows that I got were travel. They were always on the road. So for me, I was literally traveling. Like, I remember one year I had 3 weeks off, like that many days off the entire year. And I was hosting 5 different shows.
Wow.
It was crazy. It was 2 local shows and then 3 national shows. And I remember the schedule craziness. And it was just, I had a team. It was the whole thing. Right?
And when we think 3 weeks
And
off, we don't realize that's in the context of all those other weeks you were not even at home, really. You
no, I
were
was not home.
on in the field, basically.
Yeah, I bought my first house at 32 years old in Santa Monica. I loved my house, and my friends lived in it. I had a fully stocked fridge, full cable, everything you can imagine, full house, everything. And my friends are the ones that
They're
really
the ones
enjoyed
who
it during
enjoyed the
those years.
home. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was at the point where like I had an assistant and she would pack my luggage and I would literally come in, throw my one luggage in, grab the other one and get off to the next flight.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I had people dropping my luggage off at the airport sometimes, switching out my luggage. Like I just couldn't go home, but I needed to get home to get
Yeah.
stuff and different shoots, different outfits, different. And it was just so I loved it because I was younger and I could live a life like that. But there's many reasons why I transitioned out of it. I guess it's because I loved what I did,
Hmm.
but it also very much depended on what set I was on, who was producing, who was directing. I was on A&E forever, and A&E network, it has been so phenomenal to me. It's an amazing network, but I can't say that all the shows that I hosted I was really happy
Yeah.
on. And then as time went on, reality TV came out. There's, the internet with social media came out, YouTube came out, like everybody's, so the eyeballs are all spread out. And so I noticed I would still be working, but the money just wasn't there as much
Hmm.
as it used to be back in the day. And I'm getting older and I'm like, I want to have kids. Like, I just don't know if I really want to keep doing this. And I wasn't as happy on the show that I was on at the
Hmm.
time, and it was not A&E Network. And I just was like, I just kind of want, I did it for like 20 years
Yeah.
and it was very exhausting. I missed a lot of birthdays. I missed a lot of family stuff. I felt like I had such a big life in one way, and then I was missing out on the really super important things. And my daughter was getting older. And so I ended up just deciding to sort of walk away from it for a little while because I needed to do that. Hollywood's a tough, tough, tough place once you get to a level like
Yes.
that. And I just needed to heal a little bit. So there's a variety of reasons. And my being famous and being on camera wasn't the main. It's not about being on camera. I didn't ever need to be famous. That wasn't why I went into this. Whereas I feel like a lot of people in this business really die hard need to be
I
famous,
gotcha.
and that I think actually works for their benefit. I think it's great if that's a part of the reason why they want to do this business. But
Because
for
that
me it was
why
just,
maybe helps them have that sort of armadillo skin
yeah,
to be able to deal with, like you say, it's a tough industry, and we're not going into details on like what all that means, but I know and I've heard it can be, pretty cutthroat, and then you have to deal with a lot of rejection,
yeah,
and things don't always go your way. But like you're saying, your why wasn't that one, and so you were kind of feeling a little burned out in that
yeah.
way, because it wasn't maybe filling your heart's desire.
After
You
a
lived
while, yeah,
big.
after a
You already
while,
got to live
I
big,
did,
and have that dream. There's something
yeah.
that you said a minute ago, and I just want to cycle back to, and that's what you're describing as a life out of balance. That you eventually you were seeing that this was taking a toll, on your home life. And I think this is something that we talk about with, the real estate and other industries, or just really any job. I think there has to be an understanding. There's a genuine exchange that happens at a certain point. And that exchange is to recognize that you're probably not going to have this concept of work life balance if you're going for a big goal in any industry, and that you're going to have an out of balance somewhere because you're going to be scaling up a job, or you're going to be starting a company, or whatever it is, and there's something that has to give way at some point. And I think that that's a message that can help entrepreneurs and other people that are maybe at the precipice where they're saying, okay, maybe I want to go for this thing, but they can't expect that everything is going to be in perfect balance while they're making a big goal, happen in their life. But maybe at a certain point they can pull back, or like you, change industries, at a certain point. So I don't want to interrupt you on yeah, what happened next, that you kind of went away from the industry and decided to sort of reinvent. What inspired you next?
So I ended up deciding that I needed to walk away from it for a little bit. I mean, all the stories that you hear about Hollywood, just know that there's a very there's elements to that are all very true. So, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And some people are just a little bit more resilient. And at the time, I didn't have the tools that I needed to stay in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to heal. I decided to walk away. I decided to connect with my daughter more, become more of a mom. And then I was like, well, what do I do now? Because I'm not, and then I did get some work, but it just wasn't, they just weren't things that I wanted to really do. So I started to make decisions. I'm like, do I really want to do this? Not really. And then I was like, so then I went and I got my life coaching certificate with Alyssa Nobrega. And it's an amazing course, year-long program. I loved it. Oh my gosh, I loved it. And I still have some clients. And I just, but I'm, paring down. I'm sort of slowly getting out of that. I mean, I traveled for a little bit. I got my yoga training certificate. I was like all over the map going, I don't know what I want to do. So why not go and discover life and go and try something totally new? So whatever came my way, I was like, okay, I'll try that. I love
Yeah.
life and I love to dig into life. And I don't have an ego attached to me as the Tanya Memme television personality or
Mm-hmm.
celebrity or whatever from the past. How I see myself is how I see myself. I don't need the titles or the accolades to know
Yes.
that I can go and do something
This
new.
is
Do you know what I mean? 'Cause
this is incredible because what you're describing, and not a lot of people have, or they have
it's
to
hard.
find that and cultivate it. And it is somewhat consistent with, I interviewed Spring Bengtson on another podcast, and she really kind of said the same thing. I don't have an ego in the mix, and what you're describing also, this kind of self actualization where you know who you are, who you want to be in
Yeah.
that moment, and you're able to get inspired by that, and you don't need the outside world to even agree or give you permission, or show you that that's the case. You just know this iteration of me, that is who I am right now, and I'm going to go learn that thing. And I love that you got into yoga and stuff. I actually paid to become a yoga instructor at one point. I did not
Yeah.
complete that. I ended up having to
Yeah.
move to Europe and such, but
Why
I
not?
love that
Right?
because
Like,
these are all, you're with the public, and what you're showing me is this zest for learning and for reinvention. And these are two, if not two of the greatest, um, capacities that truly high performing individuals have. And that is of reinvention and of learning. And that ego just really cannot be present in a large amount because it just stops that. So, yeah,
yeah, I mean, it was
fantastic.
there at first. It was hard to make the transition from Tanya Memme, the television personality, to who am I now?
Hmm.
Because I'm not working as much
Hmm.
anymore. And so that's when, a lot of the shows I've done, as you know, are home design shows. And they're, I was Sell This House was a big show, Move This House, Sell This House Extreme. And so I got my real estate license as well. Right. And then what that did really is so my dream really, one of the things that I knew I wanted to do was get back into public speaking.
Yes.
I love being on stage. I love speaking. I love it. And so by getting my real estate license, I ended up, I'm with the same company that you're with, EXP, which is how we
Yes.
met. And EXP has just taken me under their wing. Now they have me on a few of their different stages speaking. And so now I find myself speaking to real estate agents and about all kinds of different things. And then I thought, okay, well, how else? Because selling homes, I wouldn't say is really in my
Hmm.
heart, but speaking to real estate agents, like I'm a staging expert. I know everything you can possibly know about staging a house. I've staged over 500 houses across America,
Wow.
like on my TV
Yeah.
show and all that stuff. And so I'm like, well, what can I do? What can I put together to speak about and learn and teach to real estate agents? And this is how the whole thing
Hmm.
started. And then I hired a life coach, a business coach, and she's like, find your passion, find things that you love. And it ended up, I created a course called Mastering the Spotlight, and I have a real estate edition of it, which you took.
Yes.
And yeah, and so basically now I have like four more stages that I'm doing in the next couple of months to speak on for real estate conventions. And I talk about, how to have confidence on camera and speak authentically, and how to create, video creation, how to show up in your videos and your social media, how to grow your social media, how to get followers, how to do this, that, all these little things from like reading the teleprompter, how to give a great interview, how to be a great interviewee, all kinds of different things. Like the branding side of it. I basically opened up my network of people that I've built through the past 25 years on TV, and I expose my clients to them, like the branding specialist, the wardrobe stylist, and you took my
Yeah.
course, and
Amazing.
yeah,
Yeah, and my regret is that I was so underwater, kind of busy during taking the course, but that was also to say I saw you on stage once in Salem last year, and the minute, an email came into me that you were teaching a course, I was like, wow, are you kidding me? I get to learn from this woman. For me, it didn't matter my schedule. I just immediately signed up, and I knew I would optimize whatever I could that month, and it was wonderful. I mean, I'm using lighting tricks that you taught me during that course. I'm using camera angle
yeah,
tricks, and I was literally nervous to have you on. I thought,
you
oh
were
man, is
great.
she gonna say? What is she gonna think? Am I doing this right or not? It's just funny, because you're still a teacher for me, and I just think just what little that I was able to optimize that month in your world. For me, it was really clear how you have a true heart. Like you said, you didn't necessarily have it in your heart to sell homes. You really have a true heart for helping others and sharing your knowledge with others. And
Yeah, I do.
yeah,
Yeah.
and just sharing the excellence that you have achieved through all that time on camera, and you make
Thank
it
you.
so accessible. It was wonderful being in your course. You're also a really fun person to learn from, and I just, yeah, it's like you say, no ego. There's no facade. I've known a few friends, kind of in the Hollywood world, and that's not always the case. And so it was really wonderful to be able to learn from you, and yes, to be able to hear from people like Christopher Macon, who is, again, we felt, I would say personally in the course, I felt like I was being treated like a friend of a friend, and that information that was being disseminated was really great content, that
Thank
like
you. I
in the
loved it.
moment was
Yeah.
being shared. I mean, shoot, he's doing phenomenal, and he was willing to take time out, and I really do get that sense that you're pulling favors, and
Oh yeah.
we're just on your coattails learning. This is fantastic, and I really do think that it's super accessible, and I would definitely encourage my listeners to look you up, because I feel like if I was in the corporate world before, I came from advertising and all that, and then yes, I'm in real estate and I'm an entrepreneur, and I have some business ventures, but anyone can learn from you in terms of how to present themselves better. We're all dealing with media right now. Social media has absolutely
All of us. It's
exploded.
crazy.
It's literally changing all of our worlds, and
Yeah.
we've got to get better at it. I mean, shoot, if you have an ice cream shop, you need to get better at social media. It's crazy.
Exactly. Like we're all dealing with it,
We're all
right?
dealing with it.
Yeah.
This is
Wait until you see what I have in
Yeah,
store.
this
I'm
is the new
launching the
phone book.
next
So
version.
yes, please do
Yeah.
tell me. I would love to hear what you're up to now, and all the iterations of teaching that people can work with you on.
Well, okay, so I am still public speaking. I still have like, oh gosh, I think I mentioned I have a few coming up this year. But I'm also doing corporate training. So I taught at I also teach at universities. So I teach, PR, business students. I go in and I teach them mastering the spotlight. It's kind of the same stuff that you
Fantastic.
learned.
Yeah.
And then I'm going in and I'm working for media training with some corporate executives. So that's going to be fun. I have my next one in September. I'm excited about that. But really, I'm launching. So I'm so excited about this because I'm
Yeah.
launching, okay, Mastering the Spotlight that I've been working on for like 2 years. But I have so many amazing things. So when you sign up, and I'm launching it in August, in a few weeks. And then once you sign up, then you get all my secret videos and how to do prompter and how to do this and how to do that. And then I'm going to come on live probably maybe once a week or twice a month, depends on which program you're
Yeah.
taking. And so you have access to me so that with you, when you were taking it, I was teaching all the
True.
fundamentals, right? And so I put all the fundamentals online in a beautiful workbook. And then you guys get me just coaching, which is what you guys were saying was the main thing. You're like, but we want you to
That is
coach
true.
more. We want you to coach us
Yeah.
more. So now there's tons of coaching in it. There's lots of fundamentals. There's so many surprises and giveaways and just all kinds of fun freebies. And I overgive. So I'm really excited to launch it, but it will take you from being nervous and feeling awkward on camera to really just pulling out your camera and just filming, and how do you film, and the camera angles and the tools that you use and how you set up, and all kinds of different things to get you going for your business, because it's so important now. And I even do like editing. I show you guys how to edit on Instagram and Facebook and Filmora and Canva. And so I'll do live editing classes so that we all go together. We do it slow, because sometimes it's really intimidating to learn from YouTube because they go so fast.
Very true.
So
Yes,
yeah.
and I can tell you just in the short, again, amount of time that I had that I was able to spend on everything, I learned a ridiculous amount. When I started getting very kind of safely out of my comfort zone, you create a
Yeah.
very safe
Yeah.
space for learning. You're just very available, and I think if anything, you have a real skill for making things fun. And I can just say that
Thanks.
this was my experience. And some of the people starting the class, extremely timid. I felt like I was somewhere in the middle, but not very great. And then just really getting out of my comfort zone quickly to do some of the, tasks that you asked us to do, or some of the little challenges, and keeping it dynamic. And yeah, it's really stunning to have someone of your caliber be able to go, hey, that was great. Lift your camera a little higher. You're nailing it, do this music, try. I mean, it was just, for me, I thought, wow, this is like so a below your pay grade. But at the same point, like this was,
I
for
loved
me,
it.
I was going, oh my God, like this makes so much sense. This is amazing.
Yeah. The 30-day challenge. You did it. You were
Yes.
great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm relaunching that too.
Yeah.
So that's all happening with the course. When you buy the course, you get the 30-day challenge too. And then everybody just starts. And that was so fun, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It was a blast. And it was fun to watch other students that were in our little cohort change. And shoot, some of them were so far ahead of me, I think, in certain, like their ability to edit videos and things like that. So you could see how some people had certain skills. I was
Yeah.
able to speak on camera pretty well. And just wing it, but it was really fun to watch, and it was a great to be able to see some of our class again in Cabo, and get a picture on the stage, and again
So
to see you
fun.
on stage, because I'm so happy that you're continuing to speak on stages, because you really do light up the room, and you're able
Thank
to
you.
really, I think, make things that might seem intimidating, or skills that might seem hard to grasp, very, very within reach. And I think this is just an extraordinary gift to all of us, that you're willing to do this and to share your time with us is huge, because yeah,
Thank
we
you.
we have to do it. You have to get good
Yeah.
at
We all have
media.
to now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that you're teaching at universities is something I didn't know. So that was really neat to
Yeah.
hear about that. Because I can imagine that for corporations and also for university classes, that's going to be a critical skill going forward. Being able to understand how to present yourself well, on media, or maybe to a crowd, or whatever.
Yeah.
What specifically, when you look at your life and your career, what specifically, are you glad that you have, in yourself, that got you through, everything? Maybe that was your family. Maybe that was, your own sense of self. What is it that you think, kind of allowed you to just rise up from a crowd and be able to go through your life so far, and your life's experiences, and keep reinventing yourself? I know we talked a little bit about ego and things like that, but what other skills are you really glad, or that you feel like has gotten cultivated through this process of becoming you today?
I think it's a mindset, really. I've been through a lot of ups, a lot of downs, and I've realized that life is not always fair, and that's just the way it is. And and it's one of those things that no matter what the reason is why you didn't get this, or why that didn't happen, or whatever the reason is, you just have to keep going, because the pendulum will always swing the other direction. And it's being able to let go of the resentment It's being able to let go of things that you think that you failed. It's things that you, and sort of letting, like, don't be so hard on yourself. You know, it's easy to get resentful to somebody who like hired their niece for the lead role instead of me at the last minute. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And so, or whatever corporate job, or why, sometimes you don't get the promotion because it's a family member or it's a friend or whatever the reason is. But I think it's just knowing who you are deep down inside, and you just cannot give up. And so I was never somebody to give up. And I'm also very, very curious. Like, I always want to learn and see what else is out there. And I think that letting go of the ego, and sometimes letting go of the ego happens through hitting rock bottom
Yeah.
a few times. And then finally you're like, okay, nobody's going to help me get out of this except for myself. And I'm not saying you have to hit rock bottom or whatever. It's not even about that, but it's like sometimes you have to go through a lot in order to realize that I can do this anyways. Or maybe I don't have it all figured out. Maybe I don't know where I want to go yet, but I will. I'll figure it out. And just, and you just keep on going. It's putting one foot in front of the other and you just don't stop. And that's, to me, I tell myself that every single day, just keep on going. And there's something in me that just, I guess I've always had my eye on the prize. I enjoy life. I like life. So,
Yeah. I love that. And it's,
yeah.
I think this is going to touch someone at a place where they needed to hear that, and that's what we're here for, is to literally help other women and other people rise, because they're maybe not where they want to be yet, and this is something that I'm sure some people would really benefit from hearing.
Yeah.
And it kind of leads me to two questions that I want to ask about. And one is really, what are you most excited about for the future? I know what you're up to. I know you've got a lot going on. I know you've got a bunch of, really neat interactive ways that you're teaching and speaking. If you project out, 5 years from now or whatever that is, what are you most excited about seeing in your future?
I'm very excited about building a community. That's what I want to do. I want to build a community. I want, like, 5 years from now where I'm doing these, media workshops where, I have everybody that's gone through the Mastering the Spotlight and a bunch of other programs that I'll have. And we really, go on a very productive workshop somewhere else where we shoot all kinds of media, and we just help women get to the next level in their business
Yes.
for their video creation and things like that. So for me, it's all about creating a
Yeah.
community, which is what I want to see in my future, which is what I'm right now. I'm building the foundation of it all. So eventually, once I launch it, I'll take it from there and just keep on going.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned the word community, because I think that this is true kind of in any business, but I think nowadays, especially with our world online, you can create communities across the world, and people can, contribute. They can cross promote each other's businesses. They can utilize each other's businesses. They can learn from one another. And I think that when you have this concept of community, it means that you're creating sort of a trusted pool of like-minded individuals that then
Yep.
can absolutely sort of benefit from or help each other rise. So I think that word is going to be so huge as we go into the future. And I can see I'm a
Yep.
beneficiary. You're already creating community. Even with a short workshop, it's incredible, because being in your world
Yeah.
is to be someone who is, I think, very encouraged by you. And yeah, it's very
Thank you.
fun to be in your
Yeah.
world. I just want you to know that, because your real essence, just I think a genuinely kind human, just shows really in everything that you do. So another question that I have kind of around that is, you know, you are an amazing person who has done incredible things, and now you are inventing yourself really on the daily. You're really authoring a lot of what you're doing right now. In what
Yeah.
ways are you leveraging? You used to have an assistant who packed your bags for you, and who or how are you leveraging outside help? Nowadays, to be able to do everything that you do? Or is it really all kind of a one woman show?
So right now, I recently hired, well, it is a one woman show. Like I do all of my own social media, and probably that's why I don't post, as consistently as I need to. I post a lot, but there's always improvement
Yeah.
there. But I hired a VA. So I have somebody, her name is Ria. She's in India, and I always share her information with anybody who wants her information. But she's really changed my business because now I'm able to kind of like, it's so nice when you get to the next level. So I have Ria, and then I also have Saad. So Saad is now working on some of my YouTube stuff, my thumbnails, my whole brand in
Nice.
general. And then Ria's working on, I'll tell her everything to do, and then she kind of like does all the tech behind it. So I have a very small team, but who I have is because really I believe too, like especially with what I'm doing and with your social media and your videos and all that, you have to be very, very involved as the owner of the business because I know I've delegated stuff out like, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to learn how to post on Instagram. I don't want to learn how to do this. And then your business falls apart because the messaging is all off because you're not the one who's in charge of it. Like you can't leave too much of it until you have a trained team that knows you personally, that it's a whole thing to have a team where everything's just automated and they know the branding and they know this. Like you actually have to show up and do
Yeah.
a lot of the work. You have to learn Instagram, you have to learn Facebook, you have to learn, like right now I'm learning Go High Level, which is the whole platform that I'm running my entire business on.
Hmm.
And it's I've been studying it for 2 years now, and I still have so much to
Yeah.
learn. You know, yeah. So that when I hire my VA, I can say, no, 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 go in here and do this and do that. So I'm already ahead of them, so that, and then they're like, oh, okay, now I got, you know what I mean? Like
Yes.
you always have to be ahead of your team,
Yes. You've got to have a
and so you have to
plan.
know each
Yeah,
position.
you've got to have a
Yeah,
plan and lead them forward. Yeah, and it's so well taken. It's such a good point because until you've really established a flow, a plan, and everything that how it needs to sort of that interior design of everything, the concept, and get it going, you really can't just let the reins go. It's going
yeah,
to
you
take a
can't
direction
ever.
you don't want. Yes, and I find that this is one of the things that actually can slow progress is if you don't have enough delegated, or if you're not hands-on enough until it's ready. This can slow progress. I know I'm launching a few things myself, and it
Yeah,
takes some patience and some diligence and hard work. You can't just throw an idea at the wind and hire someone and think that it's going to
no,
just take off on its own.
yeah, it will never turn out the way that you want it
Mhm.
to, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That makes perfect
yeah.
sense. So another question that I have for you, and I know our time is kind of nearing an end, is
Oh, no, that's okay.
yeah, what is it that you get up to on a daily basis that gets you ready for a day like this? You've got a podcast, you probably got multiple other things that you've got going on. How do you start your day? How do you start your day that would empower you to look and feel your best so that you can really show up? And I know that this may start with
Yep.
how you prepare the night before, but
Right.
but you literally at a granular level, what do you do to take care of you and be able to perform at a high level?
So, it's interesting. People ask me that all the time, and I'm not one of those, like, I'm so not perfect. I'm a mom. My life every morning's different. I'm often very tired before I go to bed and, wake up and look forward to my cup of coffee. And I just, I'm driving my daughter. Also, my house was just pretty much burnt down in the Palisades fire. So it has changed my life tremendously. So now I'm living an hour away from my daughter's life. So I live in my car 2, 3 hours a day. So it's definitely disrupted my business
Yeah.
life. But how do I get up in the morning? I'm lucky if I get my cup of coffee. Like there's just so much time is taken with this new situation that I have to handle with the insurance companies and just like so time consuming.
Yes.
So thank goodness, if you choose to do something that you love, and I really do love building my courses, and I'm so excited about the launch, and I love the people like you, my community that I'm building, and that's what gets me
Yeah.
going. And that's what makes me excited to, run her to Santa Monica an hour away, come back, get on the computer and start building, because it's people like you that have taken it, that, and the feedback I get from my clients that keeps me going and it makes me excited about it.
Yeah.
So, but as far as like any morning routine, sometimes I get to the gym if I can. Right now, my time is so divided.
Yes.
And that's just like a part of life, like dealing with the house, trying to be a mom, coming home. I'm also very family oriented, so I do like to cook dinners. I like to eat healthy. We go out sometimes, but I like to be sort of in control of my food.
Yeah.
So I spend a lot of time in all those categories. And yeah, so my mornings are probably sacrificed just because I'm at the point in my life where I do have all this going on. But it's not always like that. And I know that this is a chapter that, that will be behind me one day. And maybe I'll have more free time for myself in the morning.
Well, and I mean, what you're showing is resilience, in the face of a challenge. And I had a lot of empathy for what you're going through. I know that your house was in the zone of really significant and devastating, forest
Yeah,
fires in the Pacific Palisades
in
and
the
wider
Palisades.
LA
Yeah,
region. And although your house survived, you can't go into it for possibly years. There's it's treated like a hazmat zone, which means all of your belongings and everything. I did not have
yeah,
to suffer anything to that extent, but we evacuated several times for hurricanes in the decade that I lived in Houston, Texas.
yeah.
And I had to rebuild parts of my house, and just the insurance alone can take years to finally deal with. And so it's well taken that you're having to partition some of your time. And
Oh, like a lot of it.
yeah, I can
Yeah.
imagine fully. Yeah, I felt like I was working, I don't know, 80-hour weeks just on the phone with insurance. It felt like, soul crushing
But I mean,
weights on the phone, not
yeah,
fun.
but that's a part of being an entrepreneur. I
Yeah.
mean, you have to weather the storm. You're going to have years where you can work a lot and years where you can't.
Hmm.
You're going to have your ups and downs and you're going to have your challenges, and whether it's challenges directly related to your business or not. And it's just I'm just going to keep on
Yeah.
going. This is what I do.
Yeah.
And even if I get an hour today to work on my business, or if I have to skip tomorrow because I have to drive all day, the worst thing is it's your mindset, right? Okay, so my business might not launch. I was supposed to launch it a year
Yes.
ago. I had to wait a year because this happened.
Hmm.
And it's really your mindset and just keeping yourself in the right mindset so that eventually you can hit those goals that you want to hit,
Hmm.
even if they're not at the right time, in the right place, in the right, in your, what you think is perfect. Because
Yeah.
to me, your path in life, whenever you set a goal, you never go like this and then hit the goal. It's always like this, and then you might hit the goal, you know? And you just have to be okay with that. Like, it's a part of life, right?
Yes, and I think that's so true. I speak with a lot of young people in training for the industry, and it's absolutely, there's this idea that it's going to go in a straight line, or it wasn't meant to
Yeah.
be, or something like that. And I think it's so beneficial for people, anyone starting anything, whether they're learning to be a doctor or whether and that's a very sort of prescribed method of classes and getting a degree and such, or if you're being an entrepreneur. And some things may go in a straight line, but most of it's probably not. And you might have life or health or anything interrupt you. You can't let
You
that
can't,
be the
yeah,
deciding factor that you're not going to go
yeah,
after that goal anymore. In fact, it can add a lot to you. Those are some
totally,
benefits
yeah.
we don't know that may occur along the way. I actually gained some skill set, oddly, in dealing with the insurance companies myself, and ended up helping other people dealing with the insurance companies, and literally made new friends, and started donating my time to help others through some of the hurricane stuff. It was all
So
kind of
good.
weird
Yeah,
ancillary benefits that I didn't
yeah,
expect in the time of something that was really annoying.
yeah, yeah. It's really difficult too.
Yes. Yes.
I know.
Yeah.
This whole situation has, the other thing too that I didn't talk about earlier is I deep dove into AI. So I love AI, and this is another thing I teach to my students is I bring the whole AI into it now. But I started a podcast called Learn with Tanya But I would have never ever jumped into the whole AI world if like all of these crazy things didn't happen to me, or that I didn't leave the entertainment business, or that, and it's on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
And I have three friends of mine that were fans of mine for years, and they know AI really, really well. They're from Arbitrary Media, and the four of us teach you
That's
AI. So
incredible.
you
Now I have another class of
yeah,
yours
and
I
so
need to
that's,
take.
yeah, yeah. And you just open up your computer and you learn along with us. I only have one episode finished, but we filmed three and they're on their way. I'll be posting them soon. But like you said, you gain all these extra things, these extra talents, or these extra, and I am loving it. And now I'm able to bring AI into teaching my students as well.
Okay.
How to create copyright free music, and how to create videos that are just crazy from a photo, or from, prompts, and how to, all kinds of stuff to really take their social media game from here to here. And I couldn't have done that if I, didn't have this new path. It's
That
interesting.
is incredible, and
Yeah.
again, something I was unaware of. So this is fascinating because yeah, AI is. I mean, this is it. It's really it's
Yeah.
here, and it every minute some other new creative way to utilize it is being thought of, and yeah, I've heard it said in really big rooms that there will be this division, between people who in their business life today embrace AI and use it skillfully, carefully, as a tool, or the ones who do not, and those are going to have less market share, and less
Yeah.
opportunity in whatever industry that they're in, because it simply
Yeah.
can magnify or multiply what it is you're capable of doing. So if you are in media, or you're trying to podcast, you're trying to do whatever, figure out how to leverage up, because like you said, you have a couple of assistants that are so important and now critical to what it is you do, to be able to go forward. And AI is exactly that, and in many
Yeah.
other ways, but another branch of you, that you can use.
Yes. Yeah.
I will definitely be
Totally.
signing up for that. So before we go, real quick, can you just tell us, you know, two or three things that right now someone can go and engage with you, and where will they find that information, and where will they find you?
So yeah, just check me out on social media, because I'm going to be doing all kinds of announcements, and so that would be. I'm not that active on TikTok,
Yeah.
but I'm very active on Facebook and Instagram. It's Tanya Memme official. Also, my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel was hacked recently, and so I'm rebuilding it. But it's okay, because now I'm rebuilding it with a lot of new content, and my new show called Learn with Tanya. So if you're interested in learning AI, but in a super fun way and easy and slow, check that out. It's on my YouTube channel, which is also official Tanya Memme.
Right.
And then the other one is Tanya Memme official, but we'll say official. And yeah, and just check me out there. I'll be making announcements for Mastering the Spotlight, the new course, the one that you took,
Yes.
Heather. The new version is coming out with all new material and there's all kinds of fun stuff,
Wow.
freebies, and we're going to be doing giveaways and all kinds of great, lots of coaching from me. And so I'm launching that in August. So if you're interested, just like send me a DM on Instagram, and I'll send you the information and can get you on the wait list and all that stuff too. So yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again, Tanya, for joining us today. And for my listeners, please make sure to like and subscribe. We will be putting out some great takeaways from this episode, as well as others. Make sure to follow us, and we appreciate you listening today to Women Who Rise. In this episode of Women Who Rise, Tanya taught us several things that I wanted to point out. Persistence is key. Number one, each failure is a learning opportunity. This goes back to the thought that, look, she went through over 300 auditions just to be able to get to some of the places that she got to in her career. It took her several years, multiple years of, training herself to be able to get to the point of winning and becoming Miss Canada. Nothing was handed to her, nothing was a given. She had to aggressively go after it. And this is just really about that concept, that persistence and trusting your vision. And, she was able to have some of that from her family background, but she really recognized that this was something that stood alone as a key indicator of her ability to succeed. And that was that really willingness to just keep going when all odds were not in her favor, and trusting that she could do the work and figure out how to make it happen. Number 2, embracing AI can open new avenues for creation. This is huge because she is teaching it right now, today. You can interact with her coursework, you can learn. And I think this is really great for everyone who's trying to get a leg up on whatever industry they're in, and just understanding that you can leverage these things and you can make them your own. Number 3, a strong mindset and supportive community are essential. She simply said that even today, she's able to leverage people that were in her TV career that basically worked with her previously. She now has been able to turn them into, key people in her new industry of helping others. Those relationships didn't go away when she decided to change platforms or change industries. So this is all about, if you're going to reinvent yourself also, just know that there's an opportunity for you to bring that step forward, bring your friends and important connections with you. Visit our website to find our episode guide and worksheet that will help you use these tips to take action in your own life. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next episode of Women Who Rise.